Welcome everyone. My name is Monica Barty. I'm a PhD candidate in literacy studies at University of Nevada, Reno. So today I'm going to talk about pre-service teachers, PSTs, teaching writing to multilingual learners, MLL, using various modes of technology. So the study, it examines and it focuses on the various teaching approaches used by the pre-service teachers to help their elementary school multilingual learners write in an after-school literacy tutoring program. So what strategies or what teaching approaches they are using to help the multilingual learners write. For this study, I'm using a multiple case study by Stake, and it's guided by an overarching question: in what ways do pre-service teachers support multilingual learners writing within the context of a practicum experience? So practicum, which means the after school literacy tutoring program. The PSTs are coming, they're having this one-on-one tutoring experience. So that is overall is called the practicum experience. And it just tells what different ways, what different strategies are they using when it comes to teaching writing to multilingual learners. So for the data analysis, it consists of examining the relevant artifacts, which includes observation notes taken during the tutoring session by the course instructor and the researcher. So researcher also observes and take notes during the tutoring sessions apart from the instructor. And the field notes prepared by the researcher, lesson plans written by PSTs, video recordings of the tutoring session, student analysis prepared by the PSTs. They analyze their little kids and prepare student analysis. Reflected journals, which is also known as critical self-reflection, where the tutees are reflecting on, or tutors are reflecting on their own teaching. It could be comprehension, it could be fluency, it could be writing, reading, all the different sections. Extensive writing samples of MLLs, which includes all the draft, all the writing, revisions, edition, and finally, the published piece of writing. And the reflected memos developed by the researcher, which is also followed by the interviews with the pre-service teachers one-on-one to identify the instructional methods they are using and utilizing to help develop the writing knowledge of kinder to 8th grade multilingual learners. So the context of the study is to prepare the teachers to teach, and it includes the rapid growth in the number of students learning English as a second or third language. I am a multilingual learner. English is not my first language, so it's hard for me. I can speak, but when it comes to writing, it just comes very differently to me, and I take so much time as compared to native speakers or native writers of English. So um, so the basic reason behind this study is to know that how the teachers are being prepared when they are still learning to teach, or is the writing being paid attention to, because the ELL/MLL population is rising, and the success of these diverse students largely depends on teachers' ability to address their cultural, linguistic, and overall academic needs. So in nowadays, researcher from various disciplines, not just from education, from different disciplines, are seeking so many different alternative ways and solutions of using information and technology to achieve more effective and interactive and enjoyable instruction in schools. They're using technology in so many ways. So the study, it involves the use of different writing strategies by the pre-service teachers, because it is about the writing strategies where they are using technology in different ways. So I've seen uh, the tutors using technology when they are teaching the multilingual learners in so many different ways. So they create digital story with the written text and pictures or videos included. They use the technology to search for the videos, to search for the pictures, video recordings of the lesson taught. So when they are teaching a lesson, they are video recording themselves, and then the technology is used in the different phases of tutoring. For example, they are using PPT every time to introduce a topic. They are going out on the web and browsing for different topics, different pictures, and overall in totality. So technology is used heavily during the tutoring. And the when it comes to literature, I've been studying so many different studies that have indicated that creating digital stories, it provides numerous benefits to the learners. So for example, it enhances the motivation, it enhances the cognitive and critical thinking skills, it enhances the academic developing writing skills, and it also helps so much in social interaction and also the technological and the ID skills. So it's serving so many purpose and it enhancing so many different types of skills for the learners. So it's very beneficial overall. So the setting and the participant. So the study or the uh, so the study is happening at a university-based after-school literacy tutoring program, and it is located in the western state of the United States. Each semester, PSTs, they tutor local children who are in grades kinder to 8th, one-on-one for an hour, 1 day a week, and it happens each fall and spring semester. Many of the students served by the literacy tutoring clinic and which are being tutored in an after-school literacy tutoring program are multilingual learners. So on an average, 60%. So for this study, we are using 8 pre-service teachers who are tutoring 8 multilingual students one-on-one. So for the data sources, I've already briefly mentioned, but I'm going to describe each of them in detail. So the interviews after the literacy tutoring clinic ended, each of the 8 PSTs, they were tutoring the multilingual student. They took part in an interview based on their own experiences of teaching writing to MLLs from the teacher's point of view, what they think about writing, what they did good, what they could have improved on, what they think when it comes to teaching writing to multilingual learners. The observation notes, it's been prepared by using the template, which have different sections about their preparation, about their rapport with the little kid, about their instruction, assessment, about how they are dressed. So the instructor, they informally observe each of the TD and fill that template. So the researcher used that observation as well. And they also informally observed themselves. Field notes. So the researcher, they observed the PSTs during each tutoring session and maintained a record throughout. The data from observations was collected using the field notes. The lesson plan. So the PSTs, they are writing a lesson plan for each tutoring session every week, and they are using those lesson plans to teach. The video recordings. So the video recordings are done for each tutoring session. So the PSTs is video recording themselves tutoring MLLs, and then these video recordings are used by the researcher. The case study, at the end, a separate descriptive report was written by each PSTs for parents at the end of the tutoring, describing assessment results, tutoring lessons, and recommendations for at-home practice with the child. So that has been used by the researchers. Student analysis. PSTs, they wrote descriptive reports for parents at the end of the tutoring, which describes the assessment results, tutoring lessons, and recommendations for at-home practice. And the student analysis, it's based on the class research, tutoring videos, assessment, lesson plans overall. The critical self-reflection on teaching. So PSTs, they prepare their own reflection, how they think they did when they were teaching to the teaching the theory at the very end of the semester. So self-analysis of their teaching, writing samples. So throughout the writing session, they are working with the little kids to prepare the writing samples. They brainstorm, they revise, they edit, and they finally publish. Reflected memos, the researcher, they documented thoughts, interpretation, and reflections about the data collected during the research process using a reflected memo. So a researcher or I used reflected memos to analyze what I've observed about the PST's tutoring, writing, or teaching writing to MLL. So I put my own thoughts in the reflected memos. So this is the lesson plan rubric. So this is how the instructor, they graded the lesson plan of each PSTs. This is the tutoring observation template which I mentioned about. So it talks about teaching preparation, teaching disposition with tutee. So how the tutee and the tutor are developing that relationship, and basically how the tutor is making tutee feel comfortable and establishing that rapport with the little kid. The instruction and assessment, it could be guided reading, writing, read aloud, word work, and finally the professionalism, how they are treating the families, how the PSTs is um, talking to the family, how comfortable his family is with the tutor. So the professionalism, how they are dressed for the tutoring, it all comes under professionalism. And then finally, the attendance. This is the lesson plan template. So they are putting their names, the student name, they get to know their student, they do the assessment based on the student grade level and how the student is doing. Then this is the template for the read aloud and writing and the read aloud activity. There are many more components. Um, yeah. And this is the exit ticket. So this is just an informal check on the tutee, how they are doing. So the tutor uh, helps the tutee to fill this out by asking these questions. So this is just an informal check so that this can be handed over to the parents at the very end. And the tutor does have an informal conversation with the parents at the end of each tutoring session. So data analysis, it divided into three phases. The phase one, the researcher created the field notes after every tutoring section observation for each of the pre-service teachers. They were then utilized to write reflected memos. So the field notes help the researcher write the reflected memos that reflected on strategies used by the PSTs to teach writing, thoughts, observations, ideas, question, concerns based on the observations and field notes created. Then the field notes and the reflected memos were transcribed through open coding. So during phase two, the researcher transcribed the interviews conducted with the PSTs and analyzed this data vis a vis with the initial codes created by the open coding during phase one. Which were done using the field notes and the reflected memos, transcription from the selected video recordings of the tutoring session, and the various artifacts collected. In phase three, the researcher consolidates the code book by clearly defining each code and describing them in detail with the help of any examples of codes collected from the data sources. The codes were then put together in different categories to create the themes. Findings: with the help of this study, the researcher was able to find, or I was able to find, the factors affecting MLL's academic writing performance. So I was able to find what writing strategies were being employed by the PSTs or the teacher candidates during the one-on-one writing instruction with MLLs. For example, I found out drawing, various multimodal aids connecting reading to writing, using the concept map, using technologies in various ways, and tying writing to students' interest and background, so their personal lives. PSTs, they use technologies in different ways. For example, they created a digital story with text and pictures on videos included, the video recordings of the lesson thoughts. They use the PowerPoint presentation to support the lesson plan during the tutoring, and then they use the technology in different phases of tutoring. It's everywhere. The findings, it revealed that the teachers' experiences with teaching writing tied back to their value of the students' benefit of writing. PSTs during the interviews, they also talked about the challenges they faced throughout the semester related to teaching writing when it comes to, especially to multilingual learners. They also recognized the benefits of writing and for their practice. So furthermore, the findings included thoughts of PSTs regarding progressively increasing their writing integration over time through teaching, tying back to the consistent realization that writing played an important role in their students' learning. So overall, this made them realize how important writing is. So the significance of the study is that it's there's no research out there. It's all about reading or other aspects, but there are no research or very little research out there which specifically talks about the writing development of multilingual learners. There are researchers who investigated the English learners' writing instruction, And they found out that despite the growth in culturally linguistic diverse population and the obvious need to better understand instructional practices of these groups, the amount of research of English language learners is exceedingly less. It's very less, although there is a need, but still there is no research out there. So I think that this kind of study, it has a potential to contribute to the research which is necessary to better understand how the students learn, how the teachers can better instruct writing, which could eventually lead to a change in the practice of teaching writing across the US and impact future research in this area, especially teaching writing to multilingual learners. These are my references. Thank you.